This year, one of our experimental crops in our garden was sweet potatoes. We did successfully grow some sweet potatoes in Zone 4, but they weren't as impressive as we had hoped for. Stay tuned if you want to see all about our sweet potato efforts and how we did grow some sweet potatoes in our growing zone.
This video documents the whole process of our first year of attempting to grow sweet potatoes. Please use the time codes to skip around if you'd like to see different parts of the process.
This is our sweet potato slip experiment, and so far it is doing awesome. We are trying to grow some sweet potatoes this year for the first time. We are in Montana in Zone 4, and we want to figure out if we can grow sweet potatoes here. Growing sweet potatoes is different than growing regular potatoes. You don't just put a sweet potato in the ground with an eye and let it root and grow. It's different. You have to make sweet potato slips, and this is the way to do them. To start these off, well, I purchased them from an organic grocery store back in January. When I purchased them, I put them in the basement in a cool, dry place. Then, in February 18th is when we put these in soil. Today is April 10th, so it's taken that long for them to get to this point. When we decided to start making the sweet potato slips, we got these tin trays that were recycled that we probably weren't going to use again. Some of them had holes, so this is a great way to use them. We poked a couple more holes in the bottom of the tray that the soil's in, and then we set them in another tray to hold up any water. We put potting soil in there, put the sweet potatoes halfway in the potting soil, watered everything, and let them sit. We did let them sit in indirect sunlight and on a heat mat. I'll show a heat mat here. This was a really important step because I've heard sweet potatoes really like warmth. To get the sweet potatoes, I went to an organic grocery store, and to identify the variety names, I did a little research. They had about 5 different varieties of sweet potatoes at the store, and I did my best judgment to hopefully have correctly identified them. I did use their labels, and I realized that that might be wrong. But what I came up with was that these are garnet red over here.
Garnet red did not grow, therefore we are not cutting any slips from the garnet red variety today.
We have some red Japanese, and then Jersey yellow are over there on the far side. And I decided to go with these varieties over the other options at the store because the red Japanese variety is a 95-day. The Jersey yellow is a 100-day, and the garnet sweet is a 110-day. And being that we're in Zone 4, we need the shortest days possible to try this experiment to hopefully grow some sweet potatoes this year. Today our plan is to get these sweet potato vines to root in soil, and I'm hoping to root them in soil rather than in water to kind of skip a step. We are going to be dividing them at the nodes and putting them directly in soil in a seed starting tray, putting them back in indirect sunlight, and watering them and allowing them to root. Here's a close-up of one of the sweet potato slips, and I wanted to show just how I cut them. You can see right there, there are some little roots that will start to grow right there. So how I went about cutting these was pretty vigorously, actually. I just kind of cut it up there, and then this is the part right here that I would plant. And I did soak them in water when I was going through a big batch, and I just kind of pushed it in like that. And that is all of it. So as you can see, this one plant right here has so many different slips on it. Look at all those. Each one of these is its own little plant. Today is June 11th, and we are finally transplanting our sweet potato starts into the garden. So we know we have 2 different varieties. We think they are Japanese red and Jersey yellow, and then I also am a little bit nervous about them, so I decided to buy some sweet potato starts, and those are Beauregard, but when they came to us, they did not look like they were even alive practically. So I'll show a picture here of what they look like today. Those have started to root in water, and now they are in the greenhouse in soil, and hopefully they start to grow. A couple of them have some leaves. That's the point that they are at today. The reason we're a little bit nervous about them is because we don't know that we can grow sweet potatoes in our growing zone, and this is kind of a big experiment altogether. So that is why I did buy the Beauregard variety, because those are supposed to be 95 to 100 day, I believe. But these ones are super ready to get popped into the ground. And I wanted to show off a little bit of what we're going to be putting in the ground. So over here
we have a tray of 72 sweet potato slips. These ones are the Jersey yellow, and I'm just gonna pop one out of the tray here so you can see just how long the roots are. Oh, that one doesn't look all too bad. Let's see, here's another one. They go all the way down into the container. If I pull one of these out real quick, you can see just how ready they are to get into the ground. These are the ones that I transplanted back in April, and they are pretty ready to get into the ground too. So all of these over here are Jersey yellow, and I am going to be actually transplanting our starts into the ground too. So we're going to do a little experiment on if these even will grow sweet potatoes. You don't know something until you try, so we're going to try it. So we're doing 2 rows. At the beginning of our rows, first we're going to put these, the ones that are the mother plants essentially that grew all of these other plants. So we're going to do these first in the row. Next in the row, we're going to do the ones that have been in the cups a little bit longer and they've had more time to grow. Then we're going to do all of these that haven't even been transplanted out of the seed starting tray. So I have that for both of these 2 varieties. These ones over here I wanted to show just how much they've really started to grow, and this is a Japanese red, and I mean, they're ready to get into the ground too. Oh my gosh, look at all that. So we really needed to do this today. We're hoping that we're gonna have warm enough temps, because we've been trying to not put this in the ground until things were warm enough, because that's what we've heard about sweet potatoes. Any luck growing them, it needs to be warm. We do have some cold nights coming up, so we're hoping it will be fine. I mean, otherwise we're gonna be putting them in July if we don't just put them in now. So let's get them planted today.
So today is July 8th, and I just wanted to give an update on the sweet potatoes. They have been in the ground for about a month now, and they are just starting to put on some good growth. And, you know, this is an experiment, so I'm just excited to see if we end up getting some sweet potatoes. They're starting to climb. We did put this little trellis up. If they do start to climb, they're going to end up weighing it down quite a bit. So we'll put some extra T-posts or something to help them have some support. So now we have our hot part of the growing season up ahead. And I'm excited to see what these little plants can do. Hopefully something. Hopefully they can do something. This row is the Jersey yellow. And over here, those are the Japanese red. We also have more Japanese red over here in this row under the arch trellis, and hopefully they do start to vine, because that's the point of them being under the arch trellis. So that's where we're at, and we'll see if we end up getting some sweet potatoes this year. It's September 10th, and well, welcome to the sweet potato jungle over here. We're going to dig one up today and see if we're getting any sweet potato tubers in there. We're going to wait until these die all the way down to really harvest everything, but let's peek at one today. Look at these things. They're just like going crazy. Here is one. I'm going to loosen the ground. I know the tubers go out to the side. I think I already just cut one, if there is something in there. Because, you know, this whole thing is kind of an experiment. Can we grow sweet potatoes in Montana? There's a root, but it doesn't have anything on it. We got these two. Those are pretty small. So, I mean, that doesn't look all too impressive. I'm hoping we get something later. There's one. Geez, we're going to we have a long way to go. Not very impressive. Now, keep in mind, we have multiple different varieties of sweet potatoes. We're trying in here. Oh, I cut a bunch. Oh, no. It's getting better. And I think this one is the Japanese red. Maybe if we got another month of growing, which where we are, we probably won't. Maybe these will get big enough. Look at those. So September 10th, and this is what the sweet potato tubers are looking like for the Japanese red variety. Not super impressive. I'm hoping some of the other varieties do better. I'm not going to dig another one up today just because I want them to continue to grow. It's still September 10th. I was convinced to dig one more sweet potato just to see if the ones over here are doing any different, because on top of the hills, there's some cracking happening. See that cracking? So that means the ground might be swelling with bigger tubers in there. So we're going to see if we get any sweet potatoes. I'm going to try not to cut any this time. I'll go way out here maybe. We are over in the cucumber trellising area. Oh, it's the same variety, but they look bigger. Look at that. That one's bigger. You were right. Cracking did mean a bigger tuber. Look at those. That's pretty good, considering our growing season's not over. I'm pretty happy with that start. What else do we have in here? So I've heard the best way to dig these is with your hands, so you don't break them. In our ground, it's really hard to do. Look at that. It's a little better than our other one we dug. These are planted kind of close together, so it's kind of hard to tell if the one I'm digging is from the plant that I'm currently digging or the neighboring plant. That's pretty good. That might be it on this little plant. So these came out of the first plant I dug. They are considerably smaller, and these came out of the other plant. Some of them are kind of on par with each other. We're going to practice curing these because if we do end up getting sweet potatoes, we are going to have a big job ahead of us with curing all these sweet potatoes so they become sweet and so that they are yummy and we can eat them and sell them and then grow more next year with new sweet potato slips made from these old sweet potatoes. It's October 7th today, and we are digging these sweet potatoes. They have got some frost going, and being that we're in Montana, we just want to make sure we get them before our ground freezes too solid to get them, so we're just going to go ahead and dig them up today. Let's see what we got in here. So as you can see, our trellis system did not really do anything for the sweet potatoes, and I had heard that we want to make sure we get them up off of the ground so that they don't root in other areas. Each one of these nodes will send out roots if it has the opportunity to. So we wanted to try to get it up, and we tried this trellising system, which it's something that commercial cucumber growers use, and we thought it would help to allow them to climb up. It didn't really work. So if we do get sweet potatoes, because this is a big experiment of if we can grow sweet potatoes in Montana, if we do get sweet potatoes next year, we will do something else as far as keeping them up and off of the ground. All right, I'm just going to start digging one up. These two pods that I put in, they were actually our starter sweet potatoes, so I'm kind of thinking they're not going to have really any sweet potatoes. But I guess we're just going to find out. So let's just start digging them up. I'm going to pull this top. This is the one that made all these sweet potato babies. Wow, that must have been our starter one. So we'll go deeper and we'll see what we have. It's still really firm though. Yeah, there's one. It's decent. We'll keep going. So this variety that I'm digging right here, we think we identified it as Japanese red. So digging these has been really hard because these roots seem to go like literally everywhere. So you really have to get a wide range in order to dig them. Decided I'm going to loosen some dirt with this. And this is that starter plant. It was kind of an experiment to see if it would grow any sweet potatoes or bigger sweet potatoes. And I'm kind of thinking, I've heard it won't, but I wanted to see if it would. Yeah, those roots don't really have anything going on. Here's another one of our starter plant ones. And look, it did grow a sweet potato right there. That's a good one. Ooh, look at that. That's a good one too, for us. Here is another one of the parent sweet potatoes that made everything. All of these slips. If you want to check out the video we made about how we started all these slips, I'll put it on the screen now. Well, those are dinky, but there's something. Look how far off to the side these grow. That's crazy. And oh, they're going off everywhere. Oh, we are going to spend a ton of time digging these. And they're really deep. And our soil is really hard. All right, let's see what we got there. Decent. Decent. Hey, depending on how the rest of this goes, I would say we did grow sweet potatoes in Montana. We're getting something.
This was a parent plant too, though, which is really interesting that we did get some decent sized sweet potatoes on that plant. Okay, the next plant, there's another one. Just a little guy. Oh, there's another one. Goodness. The next plant will be the one that will really be able to tell what we got. They're everywhere. To like randomly feel around and search for one with your hands. There's a little one. There's a little one. Okay. I keep saying okay because I keep thinking I'm done. But I keep finding little roots. Finally, this is the first sweet potato plant. That was a sweet potato slip, not the parent plant that made all of these. So let's get it pulled up. See what we have here. I mean, those are nothing. I feel one. Got one. One on that plant. There's another one. Ooh, and another one. Look at how weird they are. And look at this one. It's like upside down in there. That's how these grow. That's just super bizarre to me that they grow like that. Okay, I'm going to loosen that up again. All right, so they're definitely not store-bought sweet potatoes, but we're growing these in Montana in Zone 4, and I'm pretty happy we're getting this. Look at them all in here. Holy cow, look at these. And they go way to the side. Look at these. These are so decent. Okay, we got a big one right here, I think. I'll get to it someday. That's a decent sized one. There's another decent sized one. Okay, we're going to have some sweet potatoes to cure. Something about growing sweet potatoes that we've learned is that you have to cure them in order for them to be sweet. And that process involves putting them in an environment that is 85 degrees about and humid for about 2 weeks, which here we're going to have to create that environment. At the end of this video, I will put a link to a different video that's going to show you how we're going to do that here. We kind of came up with an idea to do that, and we tested it on a couple, and so far it worked out great. So yeah, check that out if you're interested in how we're going to get these cured, because it is definitely not going to be anywhere near 85 and humid here in October in Montana. This is what one plant. Look at that. Okay, I gotta go the other side. 2 more. Look at all those. I feel more. Oh, that's a good one. I feel a little guy. There's another one. This is super different than digging regular potatoes. At least this variety is, because those will be kind of right on the surface. There might be a couple of outliers, but this is like everything seems to be in a really weird spot. I'm trying not to scuff up the skin when I do it, but I'm going to break it. Oh well. Oh, that was what all my digging was about. I think I have them all out of this pod for this plant. Now, look at all of them. That many came off of one plant. That is pretty good, and these are pretty decent sized for here where we live. I'm glad with it so far. You might be wondering why we're not waiting until these plants completely die off to dig them. And the reason is because we planted a lot of these, and that took me about 5 to 7 minutes to really get in there and dig all of that. We don't frankly have time to do that if it gets a lot cooler and the ground starts to freeze. It could just be kind of a big crunch, so we're just getting it done now, and so we can start the curing process. We're going to get them dug. First, I really though do want to check our other variety to show you on camera. So on this side, we planted I think it's called Jersey Yellow. We kind of tried to discover what their names were
based on, because these were bought from the grocery store, and then that's how we started all of these. So we tried to come up with a variety name based on characteristics and things like that. But yay, look at that. Sweet potatoes. All right, let's keep going. And I just started a couple plants in. I didn't dig those parent plants yet like I did a minute ago. Okay, for our second variety, this is all I got from our first plant. So not as impressive as what we have over here, but we're going to keep track and see how many we get of each kind of variety. And maybe this plant just didn't produce as much, maybe other ones will. These were much easier to dig though. They were kind of on the surface like a traditional potato, and that was much easier than how far down these like fingers of those sweet potatoes went.
Here we go digging. We did notice that those plants that were started sooner and that were further along planted near the front of the row produced much bigger sweet potatoes than slips towards the back of the row. Those slips at the beginning of the row were cut from the mother plant and rooted back in April. Then they were repotted into containers for a period of time before ultimately being transplanted into the garden. By the time we got to the back row, the sweet potato yield was quite small and pathetic. Lesson learned about the size of the plants mattering for sweet potatoes.
Whew, that was a lot of digging. All right, well, for all of those plants, you can see the barren ground behind me probably. This is all we got. So we did get some decent sized sweet potatoes, but we also have some very small sweet potatoes. So in all, I don't know if I'm counting it as a win or as a bust, because we did get something, but for the amount of plants that we put out in this garden, we should have a heaping mound of sweet potatoes, not just 6 baskets full. So there's that to consider. I have the varieties kind of grouped here. These are the Japanese red, and we did leave like half a row of them out there in the garden still because they hadn't died off at all on the tops. They were a little bit more protected. So we'll see if we can get those a little bit bigger. These ones right here are the Jersey yellow, and these were so much easier to dig. They were up more towards the surface, not down so far. All these fingers on the Japanese red really went down and spread out. So that was really hard to dig. If we grow these again, I think we will probably, we're considering growing them in a container in like a 55-gallon drum or something. I'm not really sure, but they were really hard to get out of our soil. So these were a lot easier. And then these are Beauregard, which we actually bought these and they came really late. And we started them on the windowsill from little slips without roots, and they did root, and then we potted them up, and then we got them out here and planted far after the rest, but they did decent. So I'm thinking next year I will try to get Beauregard, and I'll try to get them early, and I'll try to start those slips early, so hopefully we can get bigger sweet potatoes like this. I was impressed with these considering how late they went in. Well, that's about it for our sweet potato efforts. If you want to see how we're going to get these cured, because we have kind of a unique idea to get it done, and we tried it out with a little batch, and it did work on those. So we're going to get these cured. If you want to see that, click on one of these suggested videos that are going to pop up in just a minute. If you're liking what we're putting out on our channel, please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks so much for watching.
A few weeks later, we got dumped on with snow and a massive temperature swing to freezing temperatures. Those last few sweet potatoes that we left to dig at the last minute never got dug this year. I guess they will turn into compost for the next garden. We are glad we dug all those sweet potatoes when we had the time to do it.